This episode has been brought to you by sexenhancers.com.
All right, everyone. Hello, and welcome to the Aphrodisiac Podcast. I'm your host, Malcolm Jackson. I'm here with my friends Melody and Sonia, and that's Sonia, Sonia. And they own a company called Sway Blunts, where they roll and provide blunts to the masses.
Mm-hmm.
How are you two doing today?
Doing very well.
Yeah, doing all right. We just got off of a really heavy 7 or so days of work.
Mm-hmm.
And we were like, we're going to sleep in and like take a cool, chill day, but we have a lot of work to do. So
What made it heavy? You
working.
just rolled like hundreds of blunts.
We
Melody
actually,
rolls a
yeah,
lot
I
of
did. I've like rolled hundreds of blunts in the past 4 days. We had this event called My People's Market.
Mm.
And it was at the convention center, and it was like hundreds of people.
Mm-hmm.
And it was nonstop running back and forth to make sure that we make some money.
Yeah, we've been a little busy with like wholesale orders right up until the market, and so we didn't have as much time as we wanted to like get inventory up. So it was a lot of running me more product while I was selling it at the market.
So you sell wholesale.
We sell wholesale.
Okay, so if people wanted to order your product, how do they go about doing that?
So you can go to swayblunts.com. That's the easiest way to do it.
Okay.
We're about to pop up on a couple of other online retailers, but so far we're just in brick and mortars around the country. So,
Okay,
yeah.
great.
Swayblunts.com.
Wonderful. Well, it's good to have you here.
Thank you.
I need to mention our sponsor, which is sexenhancers.com, and they have all natural sex enhancement products. They have a huge line of sex enhancement, all natural products for men, and one sexual enhancement product for women.
Yay.
All right. So if you go to sexenhancers.com and use the promo code SC Podcast, you'll get a discount, and we encourage you to do that. Okay, so let's get into it. So I asked Melody and Sonia to come in today because my subject matter is letting the voice of the LGBTQ community speak. What I told Melody pre-podcast is that we hear a lot of information about the LGBT community through the news and social issues, Twitter, and it's always about, I want to get a cake made and you won't make my cake, so I'm going to take you to the Supreme Court, or
Right.
just current news, like somebody goes into a LGBTQ club and massacres 5 people and injures a bunch of other people. So we never get to hear the stories of people that are just living in that community. Just to talk about like where I came from, why I'm here, why I'm the person that I am. So I just wanted to just create a canvas for you just to tell your story, and just to let people know who you are, what you're about, what you would like to say to the average person about your existence in this world. I said to our producer Justin, I think it's easy to live in the world that you live in Portland, because Portland is weird. But but I just like you to just talk about like what your experience was like. Let's go from a child to moving to where we are. Just give us.
Okay, I can do that. Okay, well, I grew up in Southern California.
Okay.
I was raised by my grandparents and great-grandparents.
Okay.
I have siblings, have cousins, so it's a very small area in Orange County called Fullerton, California.
Yeah, I've
pretty
been there.
great.
Why were you raised by your?
Well, I guess my mom had more things to do to fulfill her needs
Okay.
and whatever type of path she was on at that time.
Okay.
And I don't know who else helped make me. I mean, I was told it was someone, and then that someone told me, no, it's not them. And I was like, oh, okay, well, it's kind of up in the air. And I've kind of been like, you know what? I'm already here. I'm not going to. I mean, as a kid, I was like baffled and mad about it because being raised by my family has 70 years on me, they didn't really want to talk about anything. It was very just like, well, this is where you are now. Be grateful you have a roof over your head.
Right.
It's God's green earth. And so I was raised Christian and very old. And then I got older and more independent. I knew I was, I think I really want to say like second or third grade, I knew I was gay. I knew I had a crush on my friend that was like no other crush I've ever felt. And I've had like crushes on boys, but that's because they had like a Sega Dreamcast that I wanted to play with or something like that. And I was into sports.
Let's talk about this for a minute, because this is, especially with the way that society is now, and teachers are introducing thought processes into kids, and we'll get into this a little later. But you saying at second or third grade you knew you were gay, but when you're, how old are you in second or third grade? Like,
I know, right?
I think I want to say seven or 8.
So you, like, do you actually think that you were thinking about sexuality or anything associated with being, you know what I mean? At that age?
Definitely, because, I mean, it was really pushed on me that, like, it wasn't anything other than male and women in this planet. There's no other varieties or spectrum. It was very just like, gay people don't exist.
But where did you get that from?
I got that from my grandparents and like being, heavily religious.
Oh, okay. So religion was the catalyst. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
I would also just like to just really quick interject here. I think that we're
You don't have to be quick.
Okay. I think that people who are raised as girls or have female bodies often experience something that you might call sexual urges or desires a lot younger than men. It's really common, actually. So I don't think that's super unrealistic for male to actually have like a physical attraction to somebody at that age.
I also never was into things my grandparents thought I should be into. Like, I was into playing outside with my brother. I was into riding my bike off of ramps. I was into sports. I was into, and they made me go to Girl Scouts because they thought that would help. And I was like, that did not.
Did you sell a lot of cookies?
I did. Actually, my grandma did. Because I would go to, everyone I knew in the block, and then they would be like, let me take this to church.
Right.
Way to go. But I remember, I really want to say third grade, but it was recess, and I was sitting next to our classroom on the stairs, and I remember seeing one of my good friends jump roping, and my heart was just like, pop, 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 pop. And I never had that feeling of like, oh man, isn't this person so awesome? My heart was just like tingly. And she smiled at me, and I was just like, you're doing a great job.
While she was jumping rope.
Yeah, and it was just like, so, and I was like, at that point, I knew like something shifted in my body that I've never felt before. And I've never had like a teen heartthrob. I've never been like, oh my God, Chad Michael Murray or like Cisco or like P. Diddy's like so hot. I've never had those thoughts. But every time I saw like a commercial, I'd be like, oh, that person has long legs.
That's going to lead me into something else, which is knowing that you like women. The thing that's out now is like that people have gender dysphoria, and they feel that I was born a girl, but I'm not a girl, I'm a boy. You didn't feel that. You just felt that you like women, but you didn't feel like you were a...
No, I didn't. But you know what? I can't say what was happening back then because it was like everything all at once at the same time.
When did it all come together? So we're talking third grade. So by the time you get to middle school, what we call middle school, 6th, 7th, 8th grade, high school. So what happened then?
Sports.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I feel like your gender identity isn't like there were definitely parts of being a girl that you were rejecting. That you told me about. Like,
yes, but that was like clothing that had to do a lot with like having to dress up.
So you never wore dresses?
I was forced to. Like, we're going out to a family reunion. You need to wear a dress. You need to look lady-like. And I didn't know what the fuck that was. I was just like, oh, is this going to help if I don't know. I've literally maybe worn a dress maybe 4 times in my life.
Do you own any dresses
I
now?
don't own any dresses. I mean...
But you do, right? You have dresses?
Yeah.
Okay.
So he has dresses. But...
I wear dresses more often than not.
Yeah.
My sister is not gay. She's married and has kids. She does not wear dresses either.
Yeah,
And,
gender is a whole...
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to even say spectrum. It's a nebula.
It
Everybody
was-
is at a completely unique place.
Yeah. I was always annoyed having to, like, play with my cousins and their Barbies. I was just like, oh, isn't there, like, a Nintendo around here we can...
Yeah.
So let's transition into, and we can always circle as what is her name? Jen Psaki.
Huh.
We can always circle back.
Yes.
Okay. But so this is always something that I found fascinating. So in your relationship, and because you said you wear dresses, and obviously I can look at you and see that you are more feminine and not. And so and again, let's just go back to, I want you to tell your story so that people know, you know, from your mouth, like what your life is like and what, you know what I mean? And so what I've witnessed is in a relationship, you know, there's especially lesbian relationships, if I can say that, there's more of the dominant masculine partner, and then there's the effeminate partner. Like, so can you talk to me about, or in our audience about
Well,
that?
I'd love to
Like,
poke
what
a big hole in that, actually.
Okay.
I would
Please
say
do.
that you don't notice the other queer couples who are more similar in their gender presentation as
Okay.
couples.
Okay.
So when you're seeing that, you're identifying those people as lesbians because that's what you recognize as couples.
It's just what I've been
Yeah.
told and what
And
I know,
I'm
which is
I'm
why you're
socialized
here.
the same way. We're all socialized
Yeah.
the same way. We've
Yeah.
just been more exposed to like the spectrum of gender identities and,
Right.
and sexual identities. So
Yeah.
I totally understand where you're coming from
Yeah.
in that experience.
Yeah.
And I am sometimes also still surprised when I see queer couples that seem like they're in the same like general area of that gender spectrum because when I'm surprised, I'm also like, yes, I love that because I love breaking norms. But yeah, I would just say I think that that's something that I've heard a lot of heterosexual people ask, actually, and I think that it's a misconception. I think that every relationship is unique, just like every person is unique, and like all of the partners that I've had haven't been just like Mel in any way.
Okay.
And I think that's probably the case for Mel.
You've had partners that are more feminine.
Well, I've had like a whole journey, you know, of my own in terms of my sexuality that included identifying as bisexual for a while. And really like, I feel like my approach to my sexuality has always been, I grew up in a very liberal family. I grew up in kind of the opposite kind of cultural situation as Mel, where I never felt like I had to come out to my family, really. I just kind of told them the first time I dated a woman. So
Like,
I was able to take a really like scientific approach to it, and of course I had my own battles that I was fighting in terms of my identity, but I really like was like, I'm just gonna date as many people as I can and kind of like see what I find attractive that way, because I didn't know, you know. It's hard to know when you're not raised in a society that shows you all of these options, right?
Yeah.
And so through that, yes, I've dated people who look like very diverse.
Yeah. And compared to Melody, so she said third grade. When did your journey start as far as like questioning or exploring?
I think that people would qualify me as like a sapiosexual. Like
Sapiosexual.
Yeah, I think that my like sexual orientation identity is, I felt this pressure when I was younger to know who I wanted to sleep with. And I think the older I got, the more I realized it wasn't about bodies so much.
Who presented that challenge to you? You said you were interested.
Oh, that's just like the way I think I was socialized. Like, people are always asking you, and I don't think we should ask young people these questions. But people are always asking you, you know, how do you identify? And I think a lot of people feel pressure to know for sure.
So I don't want to get too deep into this, but you just brought up something where you said, I don't think we should ask young people this. We know now in the school system, teachers as young as first graders, kindergartners are like doing all of this teaching about sexual identity. So are you saying that you don't think that should be introduced to children that young?
Oh, no, I think conversations about it are great. Talking to kids about the fact that you can identify in different ways, showing little kids like examples of different kinds of relationships is great. Absolutely, I'm definitely not against that. We are going to continue to evolve our whole lives, but at younger ages, we're more, we're not fully formed, and we don't know. Yeah. We're not born with like a fully formed identity, and it takes a long time to get to know yourself, no matter who you are. Yeah. And so to ask pointed questions like that of somebody about their identity can just like cause a little bit more stress around figuring out who you are.
Yeah.
Well, you're not being clear though. I'm asking. So, do you think as a teacher should be introducing those concepts to children that are 6 and 7 and 8 years old?
Well, I don't know. I think I have an issue with the word introduce, because it's not foreign to being a human to have a unique gender identity. Okay. And it depends on the family that you've grown up in, right, and what you've already been exposed to outside of the classroom. But I think that the dialogue about that has become like, you're going to influence our kids to be queer, and it's like, your kid is going to be who they're going to be. Right. Has nothing to do with whether or not their teacher talked about it in the class. Okay. It's just, if you create conversations and spaces where kids feel comfortable talking about these things, then they're going to have a better time in life. They're going to go through less pain.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, I'm in the school district.
Okay.
I work
in the
school
district?
I got to make some money.
Okay.
We got to do stuff. We got to pay bills. But working in the school district, I'm envious of these children because I work with kids that are from kindergarten all the way to like 8th grade. Okay. And they think differently than I be thinking. I was just like always trying to be in a clique, always trying to be with my friends. I mean, they still do that, but like they're so much more fluid than anything I've ever seen. Like I work with trans children. Mm-hmm. I work with deaf children. Mm-hmm. I work with blind children. Mm-hmm. And I work with like this whole thing. And they give each other the most respect I've ever seen. Like, even if people go by different pronouns, they don't care. They're just like, thanks, next. What else is new with you? Mm-hmm. They're not like, oh, well, could possibly be pushed on to me, and now I'm going to be called a lesbian. And I don't want, right. Like back in my day, like I really had to mask myself because I didn't want to be called that. Because it was a stigma. It was like stigmatized.
I didn't want to be called that either because I was like, I'm not going to be wearing cargo shorts and a mullet.
I don't want people to see me as the lesbian.
Which is cool. Cargo shorts or mullets are cool for people who want to dress like that. But it's like we grow up with these pigeonholed identity examples, if anything at all, as kids, as queer kids.
I mean, it's that too, but it's like, I mean, even just being a black female who's androgynous to other people, no matter where I go. I mean, even it's like, yes, I have a short haircut. My voice is lower, yes, and I like to play sports. I like all the cool things that anyone else.
Dresses.
I don't wear dresses,
right.
But I get questioned all the time about my identity, like going into the women's restroom. Oh, you can't be here.
Really? That happens to you?
That happens to me a lot. It's like, at this point, the only place I really feel normal going to a public restroom is like a Thorns game because every gay person's there. But it's like,
that's ridiculous.
Even just like, people don't see me from the front, or they just don't take the time to look down at my tits. They'll just be like, oh, sir, excuse me, sir, or thank you, sir, or hey, sir, excuse me. And I'm just like, I just go with it because I've been just like, what? Do I need to tell you my identity? Do you want me to tell you? Are you going to be okay with me telling you? Or are you not going to be okay? So it's been like this weird thing for me growing up as a kid. It's like, don't be gay. Because gay people have a really hard time in life.
But, I really, you grew up in California? Mm-hmm. So I grew up on the south side of Chicago. I don't know if you know, and totally in the church scene. Mm-hmm. Now in Chicago, Atlanta, LA, gay people in the church is a huge, I mean, they're just there, So I grew up I saw I'm 50, almost 55, so I was around when AIDS came around. So I saw 3 of my friends, I won't say their name, die from AIDS. All of my friends were, not all of them, but a bunch of my friends were gay men. I wasn't. I went to drag shows when I was 16 because, you could just have a fake ID or whatever, just walk in the club. It's really interesting to me that now being gay or lesbian or trans is just like this big deal because my friends were just gay. Like we went to church and we knew those guys were gay and it was fun and funny and we all hung out and everything was cool. I called again, I'm not going to say names, but I remember being in the choir room and we were putting our robes on and I was like 11 or 12 years old and I called this guy. Was like, oh, whatever, you faggot. And he came to me and he bent down and he said, hey man, don't ever call me names like that because I would never do that to you. And I learned a huge lesson at a really young age. But these people were my friends, like, and I grew up to where you just who you were, and it was cool. Now, it's just everything is LGBTQ, and my rights are being taken away, and I don't feel comfortable, and I can't go to the bathroom, and I can't. What do you think caused that shift? Because
I'd love to answer
people
that.
have been gay
We've been here
since
the
the
whole time.
beginning of time.
Absolutely,
You know?
but
Yeah.
especially when you go more into gender diversity, so being trans or non-binary, those people have been hiding themselves and masking for so long.
Okay.
And I would say there's always been spaces where it's safe to be queer and spaces where it's not safe to be queer. And obviously the predominant spaces are the ones where it's not safe, but you've found yourself in places where you've been able to be with queer people who are feeling safe around you, and that's awesome. But I think that a large amount of it is like social media and the internet and how we've all been more connected, and so we're meeting each other, right? Like these really conservative spaces are being confronted with the reality that there are queer people out in the world living freely and in their own truth, and that makes them really angry. And so there's backlash happening, and there's more people like fighting against our rights than ever. Like there was a lot of progress that happened in the 80s. And going forward from there, but that I feel like it's starting about like around the Trump presidency. It's like everything's totally getting challenged again, and it's terrifying as we continue to like find more and more places where we feel safe to have those taken away again. It's terrifying, and it ties back to the thing that happened the other day. And
Yeah, they just said it was a hate crime.
yeah,
Absolutely.
where was it again? Colorado Springs.
Colorado.
And we were watching an interview yesterday of a man who was just breaking down. I mean, he was like, "This is the only space that we have here in Colorado
I
Springs,"
bet.
and that's what it is. That is really what it comes down to. It's like we all want to be in safe places. People want to feel safe in the bathroom, and what people don't understand is that sure, if you don't feel safe, then that's legitimate, but like you have to understand that everybody feels that way, and Melody wouldn't be in your bathroom. There's a lot of people who benefit from conflating predators with trans people, and it's just not true. And it's a rhetoric that creates hate and fear of trans people, which actually just results in violence against trans people. So it's really devastating.
But
It is.
speaking of the bathroom, though, Melody, since you brought that up, you do identify as a woman, so you feel entitled to go into the woman's bathroom, and it's offensive when people are like, "Why are you here?" Am I correct?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah. And it's like, well, that's why I wish all bathrooms were just like my home. Anyone can use it. Why would I would never come up to someone washing their hands and say, "Why are you in here?" Like minding my own business.
Right.
It's so jarring sometimes because like people that are just like in these bubbles, and then they go into a public place and then they encounter someone like me in the bathroom. They're like, "Oh, I don't know who or what you are. Why are you staring at me? Is it because I'm staring at you?" And now I'm concerned that you're going to try to like do something to me. And it's just like, oh my God. Like, if there was a different bathroom where I can have peace of fucking mind, I'd go to it. And like, I sometimes get like crazy anxiety attacks if I don't feel safe in a place where I can use the restroom, especially in a mall or something where people are already like following me.
Well, there's a lot of, I think the progress is being made because there's a lot of, especially again in Portland, there's, anybody can use this bathroom.
Yeah.
There's like actual
All gender.
signs, all genders, like, you know what I mean? So I think it's just going to take, and that's the thing with government and with society, is it starts at a small, in our communities.
Yeah.
And then it spreads, you know what I mean? So, there is hope.
Yeah, I mean, I'm thinking about it. Maybe I should just have like a toilet company where I could just.
There you
It's
go.
like
Gender neutral
honey buckets.
Gender neutral toilet company where you use the bathroom and roll blunts at the same time.
Exactly. Will you
would be
bring the
awesome.
shit to
No.
you?
I'm going to say no.
Okay. All right.
So I'm gonna ask you a very controversial question. So I want you to know that I've been nervous about this particular episode of this podcast because I don't want to be offensive, but I feel really comfortable.
Great.
Just being, because you two are cool. You're this LGBTQ, so there's all of these, labels within that word. I am thinking that you two identify as being lesbian, or if I'm
we're in
yeah. Do you want that?
We're
to
in
be
a
question?
same sex.
We're in a same sex
we're
relationship.
just same sex. Okay, that's great to know that. I'm gonna ask you a question about transgender issue in right now because you kept bringing up sports. So and you know what I'm going to ask you.
Okay.
What do you think about people that were born as males, no matter what testosterone blockers or estrogen or whatever, competing against girls?
Mm-hmm.
And then also we'll talk about if I just say I'm identify as a girl, I just should be able to go into a woman's locker room or a bathroom. And I want to ask you because it's a hard question, but I have you here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I want to know what you think about it, because
it's not hard for me.
Okay,
It's
we'll
an easy
answer
one.
it.
Do you want to go first?
No,
though?
So
you go first because
so
you already know I have this. Go, you go.
Okay. I think that it's awesome how in wrestling they classify people by weight.
Yeah.
I think that it's crazy that we have these hardline gender classifications for sports.
Okay.
There's a lot of different abilities out there, and there may be no way of really perfectly matching people all of the time, but that's always how sports has been. There's always been different amounts of strength and different amounts of running ability and different amounts of tallness or whatever it is, right? And I think that it's just another platform for people to spew hate, to continue to bring up trans people in sports, and instead of just letting trans people play sports. They just want to play sports. They're not there to cheat by being transgender. It's not easy to go through life as a transgender person, and nobody would do that just to get advantage in a game.
That's true because I've seen the movie Joanna Man. Okay. Have you
What's
seen the movie
that?
Joanna
Yeah,
Man?
in the 80s.
Okay.
When it came out,
No,
yeah.
it was 92.
Okay.
Listen.
All right. Close enough.
Joanna Man is, oh God, I forgot the actor's name. Oh God, he's so good. He was in the NBA and he got suspended or he got fired for some like crazy thing. So he pretended to be a girl.
Oh, right.
And
So this
be
is
in
like
the WNBA.
this is just like that nanny movie where
Oh, with yeah.
Okay.
Right.
it's
Yeah.
just yeah.
Yeah.
It's not real.
It's
With
not. It's,
Mork-
no,
Mork
it's
and
not
Mindy.
real. But like, think about it.
Well, it's funny to me that help me out. What's that movie called? Mrs. Doubtfire.
Mrs. Doubtfire.
yeah.
Yes.
It's funny to me that everybody's been fine with that this whole time, but now
Exactly.
that it's actual trans people, the concept that
That's what I don't
kids
get.
could know about trans people
Exactly.
is so
It's like,
terrifying. It's
okay,
crazy.
everybody knows that like one of the top movie producer, millionaires, movie makers, Tyler Perry, loves to dress up as Medea.
Yeah.
I don't know
That's how he broke through.
exactly.
That
He knows how to
character.
like run with tits,
Mm-hmm.
bags.
Big ones. Too.
But you know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
why are you gonna be so comfortable with that, but have the same?
Because it's a parody. They love it when we're making a parody of
Exactly.
ourselves.
Okay.
Or when a straight person is playing a trans person. People love that.
Can I just interject
Please.
real fast?
Please.
Mm-hmm.
So you two disagree on this subject? Is that what I'm saying? Because this is
I don't
awesome.
know. Do
I
we?
don't know. I mean, I believe. I really think.
Yeah.
Your face.
Okay.
it
I
out.
think I'm.
Podcast Gears
That
in
was
the Rear.
hilarious.
It's where we're going to touch on the muscle
Oh
cars. We're going to touch on the
no! I don't
exotic.
know what that is. Okay.
What's
Yeah.
that? A commercial?
Well, it's just when I pressed one. I was so excited that I accidentally pressed one of these
Okay,
buttons.
cool,
So
cool.
are you? So
I mean, it's
you're
it's hard
the
for me.
athlete,
Yeah.
and
Well.
and what when I'm bringing to the when I'm bringing to the table is like if you look, there's like people who have transitioned or just said, I'm a woman now, and I want to, like Leah Thompson, like she's just smoking people, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then there's this one track and field person that transitioned, and they're doing hurdles. She was just way in front of the other people, and I was laughing. Yeah. I was like, "This is hilarious because it's not fair." You know what I'm saying?
I mean, what's not fair about that? The people are slower, or that person has gotten to their peak performance, and not just that, but like are now living their truth.
I mean, there's also people like Sha'Carri Richardson who can smoke everybody with full nails on and smokes pot, and like she's not trans. I think there's just like.
But if you're born a man, you're still going to have the bone density. You're going to have the bigger heart. You're going to have the bigger lungs.
Bigger hearts,
it doesn't matter what medicines you take, what surgeries you have. You still have an advantage. And
right.
And I just... And again,
well, I guess I would just say...
I'm not transphobic. Nobody can ever call me transphobic, homophobic. I just told you. I was kicking it with my gay friends at... doing my thing. I have no problem with whoever wants to be. But in that one situation, I do think it's I do think it's unfair. And I do, and the last thing I'll say, I do think it's unfair just to declare yourself a woman and to be in a girl's locker room. And
that's hard.
Okay, so let me challenge you.
Yeah,
here, and I hope I don't offend anybody, but I kind of feel like saying I'm not transphobic is similar to saying I'm not racist.
Huh.
But most people, race is different from any other phobias because we're all racist. That's just the way that it is.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I think we're all transphobic. We're all socialized to believe racism is a thing. Right? We're all socialized as well to believe that sex is a thing, and it's a colonial construct. The idea that there's two sexes is also a construct.
Absolutely.
It's not a truth.
Did you hear real quickly that the girl on TikTok came out yesterday and said that she's trigender? So she feels like a man, a woman, and non-binary all at the same time.
Yes, I love that. And Mel also, I was going to correct you earlier because you asked Melody if they identify as a woman, and Melody also identifies as two-spirit.
Yeah.
Or non-binary at the same time.
She answered herself. I asked her.
Yes, that's true. But there's times where I feel different. I mean, yes, I identify as a female, but I have all these other great advantages and great things about myself that I am very masculine. I can come off very, very masculine. So, like, two-spirit is something, like, I dreamt about and thought about, and I was like, that I feel good with that because I'm okay with going by she, her, or she, they, because sometimes people don't know what the fuck I am.
Yeah, Hannah gave me your pronouns. She was like, that way so you don't mess up. It's so funny. She texted me.
Hannah's
what's ironic about this is that Hannah goes by they, so I just want to interject that.
Anywho.
But she was just letting me know, yours. You know what I mean?
I have a harder time when it comes to, I guess, privilege in the trans community. It's hard for me. I feel like I don't like to talk about it.
This is juicy right here.
But like I feel like me talking about it is like putting it out there, and that's okay. And like I could be right, I could be wrong, but this is just like how I feel when I see certain things or certain things are around me. It's like I don't get the same privilege as white trans women. Like they're over me.
But you're not trans though, so it is
but
different.
That's what like ruffles it up for me because I'm just like, wait a minute.
It's this, I think that this is, there's like this other side of reality that queer people kind of get to exist in. When you come out, you become a part of a community. And sometimes it bothers me when people talk about the queer community really broadly, because we're not a huge community, but we do have sort of like access to a different culture, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. And I think that when white
subculture,
I think when white trans women come out, and when white trans women transition or do gender affirmation things like start dressing differently or whatever it is, they enter that space, right? But they still enter that space having been raised as a white man. Mm-hmm. They still enter that space with a whole lot of privilege, and they might still enter that space with a higher paying wage than everybody else, and certain circumstances that they've inherited from their upbringing as a white man. And so that's what Melody's gotten really frustrated with, is experiencing having to be in a position where you're listening to a white trans woman complain about their reality and being like,
But that's the double. You're experiencing the double whammy. Being a black woman in America and non-white and white privilege. So that's like, I'll have to have you come back. On another. That's a whole nother.
I mean, no, but it's like, it's important for me because like I'm at this level in my life where it's like I'm listening to books. And I've really dug deep into like this, like, well, why am I so just like fucking frustrated by it? Why is it bothering me so much? And it's just because of power. Yeah. And it's like, damn, I'm not in this lifetime, whatever this reality is, I don't know if I'm going to be able to touch what you touch. Mm-hmm. And that's what fucking bugs me, because it's like, how can I tell you to watch your fucking privilege around me? Because
that's
like
somebody you love and that you're in a relationship with.
Exactly.
And what sucks is, because, you know, all my children are half white. My girlfriend's white. Mm-hmm. And it's there. You know what I mean? When you're a black person and you're involved with the white person, it's there. And it creates another layer that she doesn't have to deal with it. You do. You know what I mean? Yeah. But then she does have to deal with it, because then you don't want to come off like, I'm not being the white privileged girl. You know what I mean? It just sucks. But I mean, I think we just need to be people. Like, the reason that I asked you to come here, and you can relook at the text that I sent, I just want you to tell your story. And our stories, I think, and then I said a lot of the information that we get about sexuality, race, all of these things that we deal with as people just on the everyday level, you just want to go home with your partner and get dinner. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. We get all of this outside bombardment that tells us that you should be tripping because you're a black lesbian woman in a relationship with a white, you know what I'm saying? And at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. You two love each other. Mm-hmm. You have commonalities. You have a business together. Mm-hmm. You have goals.
A dog and a cat.
You have a dog and a cat. And at the end of the day, we just want to be people. So
absolutely.
I think I'm just going to, because we're like way over. Our trip,
goodness, we just scratched the surface.
Yeah, and so I'm gonna have you two back, if that's okay
absolutely.
with you.
Yeah, because you're amazing. You're open, and that's but you have like this charisma about you. That's really nice.
Well, thank you.
It is really nice. It's really nice when straight people reach across and try and have conversations with queer people. I think we need to do that more.
Yeah, we need to just
again, we're just talking. I'm interested, to know like what. Yeah. Who you are as people.
You'll find out.
Nothing to do with being
We're
straight,
super fascinated.
queer, gay, any of that. No, I could tell that when I first met you, you know. So
Thank you. Yeah,
please,
we'll be back.
please
We'll
come
be
back
back.
again.
Yeah.
And let's hang out. And let's hang out outside of the podcast
Oh,
studio.
heck
That would
yeah.
be
Yeah,
most
absolutely.
wonderful.
I have some.
Yeah.
I have some little gifties for you guys.
Okay.
Yeah, we could brought you guys some
And while
blunts.
she's getting her gifts out, I just want to send a shout out to our sponsor, sexenhancers.com. If you go to sexenhancers.com and use the promo code SE Podcast, you will get a discount. And this is one of their biggest selling products, Sustain. So give it a try. I want to give a shout out to our podcast group here, the GNP podcast group, Justin and Naeem, our producers.
Yes, thanks,
As
guys.
I always end the program, just letting you know, everybody, take care of yourself and each other, and we'll see you next time
Yes.
on the Aphrodisiac podcast.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Malcolm.
Thanks so
Malcolm.
much for having us.
Yeah.
This was fun.
Hey.
This episode of the Aphrodisiac Podcast was brought to you by sexenhancers.com.